The rain had turned the earth to mud as Mira trudged barefoot along the broken path leading to the school gates. Her fingers clutched the envelope, crumpled, fragile, containing her entire future, her school fees. Every ounce of her life's purpose was sealed in that thin paper, bought with days of scrubbing floors, selling scraps and hunger-driven prayers. The final deadline was today, and if she missed it, her education dream would shatter like glass. As she passed an abandoned street corner, a frail voice called out, "Please, just a little food." A man, wrapped in rags and filth, shivered against the wind, his hand trembling in the air. His eyes, though weary, were kind. Mira's heart wrenched. She had seen plenty of poor people, but something about this man, something broken yet dignified, froze her steps. Her hand trembled as she looked at the envelope again, then pressed it into his hands. The beggar stared at her, shocked. "Child, no. This is too much." Mira smiled faintly, tears burning her eyes. "You look like you need it more than I do." And with that, she turned and walked away, empty, directionless. Little did she know, she had just handed her future to the missing father of the country's most elusive billionaire. When Mira reached the school office, the gates were already closing. She pleaded, begged for mercy, but rules were rules. No payment, no entry. That night, she returned to the shared shack she called home, where her caretaker aunt scolded her for being useless and foolish. Mira said nothing. The image of the beggar's sunken cheeks haunted her. Meanwhile, the beggar stared at the envelope in disbelief, hands shaking. He hadn't held so much money in decades. He thought of returning it, but by the time he mustered the strength to chase the girl, she was gone. So instead, he bought food, medicine, and a small coat from a second-hand seller. For the first time in years, he slept under a roof. Unbeknownst to him, a man in a sleek car saw him buying the coat. The driver squinted, recognizing something familiar about the beggar's gait. He snapped a photo and sent it to someone with the message, "Found someone who looks like your father." At the top floor of a glass tower, billionaire Kian stared at the photo for a long time. His assistant watched nervously, unsure what was going through his boss's mind. Kian had never spoken of his past, but the few times he did, he mentioned a father who vanished when he was 12, swallowed by poverty and shame. Kian zoomed into the photo, heart pounding. The same scar on the man's wrist. The same tired eyes. Could it really be him? And how was he still alive, begging on the streets like a ghost of the past? "Where did you take this photo?" he demanded. The assistant replied nervously, "Near the school district." Without saying another word, Kian threw on his coat, canceled all meetings, and drove himself for the first time in years, his heart dragging him toward the last piece of his lost family. The beggar, whose name was Elias, was sipping warm soup outside a corner stall when Kian arrived. For a moment, Kian couldn't breathe. His father looked older, much older, but there was no mistaking it. "Dad?" he whispered. Elias turned, startled. The spoon clattered to the ground. Their eyes met. Recognition flickered across Elias's face before shame buried it. "Kian? I don't deserve to be called your father." Kian dropped to his knees and hugged him tightly. "You're alive. That's all that matters." But Elias pushed him away gently. "I was lost. Useless. But someone kind gave me a reason to live again." Kian blinked. "Who?" Elias pointed down the road. "A girl. An angel. She gave me her school fees." Kian's eyes narrowed. "Find her. We're going to repay every cent, and more." 4 days, Kian used every resource to find the girl who gave Elias the money. But Mira had no social media, no phone, nothing. Just a name that Elias barely remembered from her mumbled farewell. Mira. The only clue. Kian sent teams to every school in the district, questioning, searching. Mira, meanwhile, was helping a local food vendor clean stalls to earn a little. She hadn't told anyone she'd dropped out. Her dreams felt so far away now. One night, she passed by the same street corner and didn't see the beggar. She smiled faintly, happy he had vanished. Maybe, just maybe, he survived. Kian's men finally tracked down the school Mira had attended. The principal confirmed she had dropped out days earlier, paid nothing. "A brilliant girl," the principal sighed. "So much potential." Kian's chest ached as he whispered, "We'll bring her back." Mira was sweeping trash outside the food stall when a black car stopped beside her. 2 men in suits stepped out. "Are you Mira?" one asked. She froze, heart racing. "Why, yes." The man handed her an envelope and a card. "Our boss would like to speak to you." Terrified, she followed them to the car. Inside, Kian waited with Elias by his side. The moment Elias saw her, he stood and smiled. "It's her," he said, voice cracking. "The angel." Mira's eyes widened. You look different. Kian stepped forward. Mira, my father says you gave him everything. Mira stammered. It was just money. For food. Kian shook his head. It was more than that. You gave him life. And now we're going to give you your future back. Kian personally enrolled Mira in the most prestigious school. She was given everything, books, clothes, even a private tutor. At first she resisted. This feels like cheating, she said. Kian smiled. No. This is called justice. Mira slowly adjusted, though many students whispered about her poor past. Despite her sudden rise, Mira never changed. She studied hard, helped others, and visited Elias weekly. They grew close, and Elias often cried during their talks. You're more of a daughter to me than I ever deserved, he whispered one day. She smiled, brushing his hand. You're family to me. Meanwhile, rumors began spreading about Kian's relationship with the mystery girl. Reporters stalked Mira, but Kian always shielded her. To him she was more than a good deed, she was a miracle. Kian's fiancée Vanessa, a spoiled heiress from an elite family, caught wind of Mira. She showed up at Kian's office unannounced, slamming her purse on his desk. Who is she? She demanded. Kian frowned. She's someone important. Stay out of it. Vanessa didn't listen. She had her men dig into Mira's past, her orphan status, her street life, and then leaked it to the press. Headlines exploded. Orphan gold digger enchants billionaire heir. Mira was humiliated, and for the first time she skipped school. She packed her few things and left the dorm. Kian found her sitting in the rain, alone. Why didn't you call me? She looked away. You're a king. I'm a stain. He knelt beside her. You're my light, Mira. The world can go blind if it doesn't see that. She looked into his eyes and for the first time saw not a billionaire, but a man. As Mira and Kian grew closer, Elias's health declined. Years of hunger and exposure had damaged his lungs. He collapsed one afternoon and Mira rushed him to the hospital. Kian pulled every string to get the best care, but the prognosis was grim. One night, Elias called Mira and Kian to his bedside. If I don't make it, promise me something. Mira clutched his hand. Don't say that. Elias smiled. Promise me you'll live boldly. Love without shame. And always remember, kindness echoes forever. That night he passed away in his sleep. Kian wept silently and Mira clung to his side. They buried him beneath a lone tree, a place Elias once called peaceful. The man who had once begged on the streets left behind more than a son. He left behind a legacy of mercy. After Elias's burial, silence settled over Mira's heart. She returned to school but her spark dimmed. Her grades slipped and her smiles faded. Kian noticed. He tried to lift her spirits, dinners, books, even bringing her favorite street snacks, but nothing worked. Mira was grieving the only real father figure she had ever known. At the same time, Vanessa returned with a vengeance. Furious that Kian didn't break ties with Mira, she visited his board members, whispering lies. He's distracted, compromised, in love with a poor orphan. Some listened. Others rolled their eyes. But one man, Kian's rival on the board, Mr. Drex, saw an opportunity to strike. One evening Mira overheard two students mocking her. She's just a charity case. The Billionaire's Guilt Project. Those words stung deeper than she expected. That night she packed her things again and left without telling Kian. She left behind a note. Thank you for everything. I need to find myself. Kian was shattered when he found the note. He searched everywhere. Hostels, food stalls, schools. But Mira had vanished. She had moved to a small village on the outskirts, using her savings from tutoring to rent a tiny room. Every day she worked at a library and tried to forget the lavish life, the gossip, the pain. But forgetting Kian wasn't easy. She saw him in the pages of every book she shelved. She missed Elias more deeply now that she was alone. Yet she was determined to live quietly, honestly, without being anyone's shadow. Back in the city, Kian lost focus. He skipped meetings, rejected Vanessa's calls, and barely spoke. Then one day he told his assistant, "We're going to find her. Even if it takes my last breath." That single sentence sparked a journey that would change everything. Mira's peace was shattered one day when she saw her photo posted outside the village market. Missing person, Mira. If found, report to this number. She tore it down, panicking. She didn't want to be dragged back into a world of pity and whispers. But that same night, someone knocked on her door. It was a boy from the village, breathless. A rich man is asking about you. He's at the school down the hill. Mira's heart skipped. She rushed there and from the distance she saw him, Kian, looking tired, thinner but still the same. He turned and their eyes met. He didn't say anything at first. Just walked toward her, and hugged her. "You left," he said. She nodded. "I thought I was a burden." He shook his head, eyes wet. "You're the only peace I've ever known. And I'm done pretending." Then, in front of the village children and their laughter, he knelt down, not with a ring but with a promise. "Come back. Not to my mansion. But to my life." Mira agreed to return, but only on her terms. No bodyguards, no limelight. Kian agreed. They kept their relationship quiet, away from reporters and Vanessa's venom. Mira returned to school, stronger this time, and focused on finishing her final year. She had one goal: to graduate and stand on her own. But love doesn't hide easily. Their quiet glances, their small gestures, soon people noticed. Vanessa, upon hearing the whispers again, exploded. She arrived at Mira's school, dragging a cameraman, and burst into the campus. "So this is her? The peasant who stole my fiancé?" Before anyone could stop her, she slapped Mira in front of the students. Gasps filled the courtyard. But instead of crying, Mira stood tall and replied, "If love can be stolen, it was never yours to begin with." The video went viral. Public opinion turned swiftly, and harshly, against Vanessa. Vanessa didn't give up. If she couldn't have Kian, she'd destroy everything he cared about. She partnered with Mr. Drex and leaked confidential documents that exposed Kian's company's internal operations, painting Mira as the mole. Authorities launched an investigation. Kian was suspended from his CEO role temporarily. Mira was devastated. "I didn't leak anything, I swear." Kian believed her. But the board didn't care. He lost major contracts. Investors pulled out. The media painted a scandal. Once again, Mira felt like the curse in Kian's life. But this time she didn't run. Instead, she confronted Mr. Drex in his office, recording everything. "Why frame me?" she asked. Drex smirked. "Because the rich don't like street girls playing queen." Mira's voice was calm. "Then it's time you learn we queens don't need crowns to rule." She handed the recording to Kian. The recording was enough to spark a legal firestorm. Drex was arrested, and the investigation against Kian's company was dropped. He was reinstated. Mira's name was cleared. And when reporters begged her for interviews, she declined them all. She didn't need to prove herself anymore. Vanessa was shunned publicly, and her father pulled her out of the country in disgrace. Mira's dignity and silence spoke louder than any interview ever could. She returned to school, graduated top of her class, and stood on the stage, holding her diploma in one hand and Elias's photo in the other. Kian watched from the audience, heart bursting. That night he whispered to her, "You changed my life. And now I want to spend mine changing yours." Mira smiled. "Let's change each other." Kian planned a quiet evening. No flashing cameras. Just a small dinner, a walk by the same road where Mira had first met Elias. "He changed everything," Kian said, lighting a lantern. "But you changed me." Then he took out a ring. Simple. Elegant. "I don't offer you palaces," he said, kneeling. "Just peace, honesty, and a lifetime of seeing you for who you are." Mira's eyes filled. She knelt beside him. "Then let me offer you the same." Under the stars they embraced, two souls once broken, now whole. They got engaged privately with no press. Just close friends and memories. And Mira insisted on one thing: the first room we build in our house will be a library. For all the forgotten stories, like ours. As their wedding approached, Kian took Mira on a trip, to every place Elias had lived. The abandoned alley. The old soup stall. The tree where he was buried. They lit candles, spoke prayers, and promised to never let kindness die in their home. Mira also visited the school she once dropped out from and sponsored 5 students, quietly, anonymously, so they'd never have to choose between hunger and hope. But she never started a foundation. She didn't want her kindness turned into a brand. On the eve of the wedding, Mira sat alone under the stars and whispered, "Thank you, Elias. For taking the envelope. For living long enough to return it 100-fold. In the breeze she imagined she heard him whisper back, "Thank you, for seeing me when no one else did." Their wedding was intimate. No flashing headlines. No tabloids. Just soft music, real tears, and vows spoken with trembling voices. Mira wore a dress stitched by women she once cleaned floors with. Kian wore a suit passed down from Elias, after it had been tailored anew. As they danced, Kian whispered, "You gave a beggar everything, Mira. But the truth is you saved more than just him. You saved me." Mira leaned into him and smiled. "Sometimes the poorest girl has the richest heart." And so, the orphan who once gave up her dreams for a hungry beggar unknowingly found family, purpose, and love in return. Not because she gave to the wrong person, but because she gave to the right one, at the right time.